When people think of Whitney Houston's tragic death, they turn to Bobby Brown.
You were the one that led Whitney to heavy drug use.
It wasn't me.
But there's one person who's been ignored.
Robyn Crawford was by Whitney's side from the beginning.
Robyn, she's been my friend for years.
Had I been there, she'd still be here.
If she could have saved Whitney, why was she erased from her life?
Rumors swirled they were also secretly lovers.
We were intimate on all levels.
Everyone saw Robyn as a threat.
She was an opportunist. It was evil. It was wicked.
Reports that Whitney's father put a hit on Robyn Crawford.
Everything spiraled out of control.
She just disappeared.
But now she's ready to come forward and reveal what really happened.
This is the story that no one else knows except you.
We were just two young women from East Orange, New Jersey, and one of them had this amazing dream.
I am not self-destructive. I'm not a person who wants to die. I'm a person who has life and wants to live.
This was a young woman who knew what she wanted, where she was going to go, how she was going to get there. Like, she knew everything. It was a lot coming at her. And she could handle it. She knew she needed someone there, and she chose me. She was number one, and I was in the number 2 spot. I was her go-to for everything.
She's been my friend for years. I don't know, just stuck it out.
I wanted Whitney to have the life that she wanted for herself, her own family.
So then will you tell me about Bobby?
Bobby was ready for the same things I was ready for.
I had heard the rumors about him.
And they said I was crazy, huh?
Bobby Brown's wild reputation follows him wherever he goes, indulging in alcohol, drugs, and countless women.
I'm not as bad as everybody thinks I am.
Bobby Brown had multiple arrests, ranging from marijuana possession to drunk driving and various parole violations. But Whitney stood by her man.
In order to deal with a person like me, she has to be the sweetest person in the world.
Bobby is the man of my life, and I'm very much in love and I'm very happy.
And also the meanest person in the world.
I'm the madman. What are you saying?
All right.
Boom.
She told me that he had asked her to marry him. And then she asked me, and I was not ready for this question. Do you think he loves me? He was the kind of guy that loved attention, and Whitney was the kind of woman who did not. They were like apples and oranges.
To the outside world, Bobby and Whitney seemed madly in love. But when they came back from their honeymoon, Robyn noticed a cut on Whitney's face.
She said, I threw a glass against the wall and it shattered and I got cut. But the cut was like from here to there. It was about 3-4 inches long. Flying glass doesn't do that. I never pressed her. I was like, you love this man, and it's not right to stand by someone and then think ill of it. That wasn't me. If that's what she wanted, I would be there for her.
Robyn tried to respect Whitney's choice, but Bobby didn't make it easy.
Bobby Brown and Robyn Crawford, they hated each other. They would battle for her affection. They'd battle for her attention. There were numerous fights between, serious fights.
Did you guys ever have a physical altercation?
He did get in my face a couple of times.
There were times when he wasn't always the winner.
He wanted Whitney to remove Robyn from their relationship, and Whitney didn't want to do it.
What is the issue with her being around?
Not too long ago, I was in Detroit. I did a radio show. For over an hour, about 30 calls came in. They really just wanted to know, well, what is the story of Whitney? Is she gay or is she not?
Whitney is not gay. That is a story on that. The only gayness I feel is when I'm happy, honey. That's it.
That's all that really matters.
That's all that matters, yes. This wasn't her world. I mean, I brought her into this madness. She goes, what? Why am I the target? What did I do? I said, you're my friend. What else you want? You play basketball.
Because she plays basketball, people think she's a lesbian.
I don't know. They just think I'm not gay and I'm not lesbian. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter. Lesbian, gay, I'm not. Two titles I can't claim, I'm sorry.
As the media ran wild with speculation, Bobby tightened his grip on Whitney.
I needed for Robyn to understand that I was now Whitney's husband, so their relationship had to change.
But it wasn't just Bobby who had a problem with Robyn.
I was a nobody. She was a nobody. She was an opportunist. She was a wannabe. I've never seen him do anything, but I knew that she was something that I didn't want my sister to be involved with. And it was evil, it was wicked. And I tried to tell my sister to leave her alone.
I didn't particularly like her.
What didn't you like?
She just spoke too much, disrespectful sometimes. Like she had something over nippy, like that.
Would it have bothered you if your daughter, Whitney, was gay?
Absolutely.
It would have bothered you? You would not have liked that?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No one in this organization wanted anything to disrupt this bullet train that was Whitney Houston. Anyone who had influence was a threat.
Did John ever try and get rid of Robyn?
He talked about it. He said if he could, he would break them up any way he can. He wanted somebody to scare her.
Scare her? Scare her how? So, a former security guard came forward and he claimed that Whitney's dad and former manager approached him, offered him $6,000 to break Robyn's arms and legs because he didn't like her for being a lesbian, and he was worried that she was threatening her marriage to Bobby Brown.
He quoted John as telling him he should lay my legs on the curb and break them with a bat. I don't want her murdered. That would devastate Whitney.
Whitney confronted her dad, but he denied everything. But decades later, one of Whitney's brothers actually came forward and said that they did want to scare Robyn, but he never actually admitted how.
The threat of bodily harm didn't slow me down. But I wonder if it ever crossed their minds that it was hurting Nippy, their sister, their daughter. Once Nip had spoken to her father, I felt better because at least I knew where she stood.
Robyn thought Whitney was on her side until she found out Whitney had told Bobby their secret.
She didn't tell me that she had shared it with him, but from what I understand, he was not happy about it. I don't know why he was so disappointed about it. It was years ago, decades ago.
What was the secret?
I was 16, and we were working at summer jobs. I remember thinking, wow, this is really gonna be a trip this summer. I don't have any friends. And then here comes Robyn with this beautiful, beautiful afro. She was tall and very statuesque.
She simply stopped me in my tracks. Before I moved on, I gave her one last look and told her I'd keep an eye out for her.
I remember thinking, I've known this person, it seems like all my life.
I wanted her friendship. That was what was most important.
But over that summer, their friendship grew into something more.
One day after camp, we were just talking. There was something there that made us connect. And then at one moment, we both just met, and our mouths touched, and that was our first kiss. We didn't share what happened with anyone. I didn't know how long it was going to last, but I knew we were meant to be.
Robyn and Whitney moved into an apartment together, hiding in plain sight. But Robyn could see something was holding Whitney back.
When you're raised in church and you're raised in a background of God-fearing religion, there's a certain boundary that you don't cross. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have gotten into a lot more trouble than I got into if I hadn't thought about, my mother's gonna kill me, or my father and my mother are gonna be so disappointed.
After 2 years together, Whitney was ready to share her true feelings with Robyn.
She said, I have something for you. And she placed the Bible in my hands. She said, I don't believe that we should be physical any longer, that it would make our journey much harder if they found out about it. But she also said living that kind of life, you could go to hell. You know what we shared, Whitney added. You know how I feel about you, and we will always have that.
Robyn knew that their relationship was deeper than just romance, but it wasn't always easy for her.
Whitney had prepared a one-on-one dinner with Eddie Murphy.
I hung around long enough to see Whitney through the glass, and she looked amazing. She was ready, preparing for Eddie to come. I thought to myself, wow, I wish she was preparing that second place for me. But I knew that wouldn't happen.
Robyn couldn't tell Whitney how she really felt. But as she tried to move on, Whitney struggled to let her go.
She asked me to love her. If you love me unconditionally. And she was worth it. So I strived for that.
Robyn vowed to support Whitney no matter what. But after Whitney married Bobby, she struggled to protect her.
I noticed that Nip started using drugs a lot more when Bobby was around. She wasn't putting on the brakes. I reminded her that drugs should be over now, and she said, I know, but I'm not ready to just yet. The more I saw and heard, and the messier it got. He went to surprise Bobby in Atlanta. After knocking on his door several times, out comes Bobby in a rage, saying, I don't want you here. And he spit in her face. She ran down the hall, and Bobby picked up a glass and threw it. And Whitney picked up the phone to call her father. That's when Bobby snatched the phone from her and hit her over the head with it. He had her to himself. She was isolated. I thought she'd get tired of it. I mean, Whitney had a lot of pride and a strong will, but every time I thought that would be it wasn't. We went out to Los Angeles. It was cancellation after cancellation, and Bobby was traveling with us, which never makes it easy. I went to Fred Siegel, and I purchased George Michael a button-down black shirt since we had run him around for a while. We had canceled 3 sessions with him, just a kind gesture. And Bobby erupted. Are you out of your mind? He started yelling. You don't buy a man a gift from my wife. Are you crazy? Then Whitney joined in saying, apology for what? I understood exactly why I was getting blasted. They were strung out and out of their minds. There was nothing that I could do to make things any better. And for the first time, I realized that I needed to save myself. With Bobby screaming in my face and all that stress and worry about Whitney, I was at a breaking point. It wasn't just Bobby. It was everything. Locking eyes with Whitney, I said my piece. You know, I'm really sick and tired of this shit. I'm trying to do my job, and you're going to let him speak to me this way? I'm done, Nip. I quit.
After 20 years of being by Whitney's side, Robyn walked away from the person she loved most.
I will always say that was the downfall of Whitney. Robyn was the person who was keeping her together. And I think that's why the drugs became so important to her. That was that crutch that she used to get through that.
Robyn tried to move on with her life, but she couldn't escape the media going after Whitney.
The headlines were saying, Whitney is dying.
No, Whitney was dead. I'm 5'7" and thin.
But that's not just thin.
No, what is it? Diane, tell me. Do you know?
It's scary thin. Anorexia.
No way.
Bulimia.
No way.
That it's because of drugs?
No.
Is it alcohol? Is it marijuana? Is it cocaine? Is it pills?
It has been. At times.
All?
At times.
If you had to name the devil?
That would be me.
Police are looking to speak to Bobby Brown after a weekend altercation left wife Whitney Houston with a cut lip and bruises on her face.
It appears Whitney Houston's greatest love of all isn't Bobby Brown. After a rocky 14-year marriage, the two are on the path to divorce.
When did you know that marriage was not going to work?
I just knew, I was like,
you don't smell right, you don't look right, something's going on. And then all this other stuff started coming out, being too promiscuous.
So the fact that he would be out with other women and would bring that into your
with
home.
my credit card, absolutely.
Yeah,
I had a problem with that.
Whitney Houston has returned from her drama-filled 7-year hiatus from the music industry with the release of a new album.
Well, Whitney Houston's comeback tour has hit yet another snag as hundreds of fans walked out of a recent show in Denmark.
We're leaving early.
She couldn't entertain a dead rat, to be honest.
One wrote, she looked and sounded like a person who doesn't have many years left to live.
Whitney Houston has enrolled in an outpatient rehabilitation program to deal with drug and alcohol issues.
The singer is voluntarily seeking additional treatment after 30 days in rehab. As one source puts it, she really wants it this time.
But on February 11th, 2012, while out to dinner, Robyn got news that would change her life forever.
My phone started to ring and said it was an old friend, so I told Lisa I'd call her back. 2 seconds later, it rang again, another friend calling. Then our friend's phone started to ring. As soon as she hung up the phone, we were all looking at her, wondering what had just happened. She said it. My sister is a huge Whitney Houston fan, and they're saying she passed. I felt my insides shattering. I never once believed that she would fall. Swimming is what she loved to do. The girl could swim. Right. She loved the water. And that's why passing in the water just is so hard for me to wrap my heart and head around. I wish I would have just taken the necessary steps to reach her. I feel like I was waiting for her, and she was waiting for me. And time just don't wait.
As Robyn tried to deal with her grief, the world demanded answers.
We're learning more tonight about the dark and final days of legendary superstar Whitney Houston. Her ex-husband, Bobby Brown, revealing new and intimate details of the couple's turbulent marriage.
People said to me, the one thing that they heard over and over again, that you were the one that led Whitney to heavy drug use. That you were the one.
It wasn't me. It started her. I take my part, but we all have our own minds. The last few years of our marriage, it was terrible.
They had tried on and off to get sober, but Bobby Brown says Whitney just wouldn't stop using. That's what ultimately led to the end of their 14 years of marriage.
She just wasn't ready to go that direction.
But their relationship struggles weren't the only thing Bobby revealed.
Bobby Brown's surprising allegations about Whitney Houston's sexuality.
I think their relationship had become sexual at some point. They couldn't be as close as they were before because Whitney now had me in her life, her husband. But Robyn wasn't accepting this new development gracefully. She was not happy about being pushed away.
Robyn watched silently as Bobby told Whitney's secrets to the world.
I had great comfort in my silence. But over the years, I began to feel my silence shake, and everything I heard or read, it wasn't accurate. I was bothered by all the bad news I was hearing. I knew Nip didn't deserve it, and I wanted to do something to help her. And that's when I felt the need to stand up, to stand up for my friend's legacy, to lift it.
After years of speculation and rumors, Robyn Crawford finally breaks her silence on her relationship with Whitney Houston. The late singer's close friend has released a memoir titled A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston.
Instead of focusing on who was to blame, Robyn reminded everyone that Whitney was so much more than her tragic ending.
You don't get to that pinnacle stumbling. You have to be focused. You have to put in the time to hone your craft. You have to be gracious and respectful. And she was all those things.
Soon, the world started seeing Robyn's real impact on Whitney.
Strangers walking up to me, feeling like, had I been there, she'd still be here.
And someone unexpected came forward to honor her.
I think if Robyn could have been accepted in Whitney's life and remained close to her, Whitney would still be alive today.
To this day, Robyn continues to proudly share Whitney's story with the world.
Ours is a story of loyalty and trust of two women who made a pact to protect and rely on each other. I owe it to my friend to share her story, my story, our story. And I hope that in doing so, I can set us both free.
What would you want to say to her?
I would want to say, you know, Nep, you know I love you, and I got you. I will represent. I love that girl like yesterday. And she's with me all the time.